Welcome to The Real Life Buyer. Whether you are buying for yourself or your business, here you will find tips, techniques and knowledge to support your journey to buying smart. Interviewing business owners and technical experts to give you information and guidance before parting with your money. Save money, time and get what you want when you want it. Now introducing The Real Life Buyer, Dave Barr.
Hello and welcome to The Real Life Buyer. In this episode, I'm very pleased to introduce you to Sandy Lipo of the Good Roots Barn. It was whilst I was reviewing businesses being featured by the UK Entrepreneur Hub that I discovered a posting about the journey of a lady with a passion for the environment. This passion and the inability for her to be able to buy products that complied with her ethical beliefs and standards led her to take action and start her own business. It was this inspiring story that demonstrated how a person could, with some hard work, create her own business, source the products she felt appropriate, and throw herself out of her comfort zone and into e-commerce. I'm pleased to say that Sandy is also prepared to share her journey with us on this show. So, without further ado, I welcome Sandy to tell us her story. Hello, Sandy, and welcome.
Hi, David. Thank you for inviting me.
No, absolute pleasure. As I said, very inspiring to see what you've managed to do. Perhaps you could talk us through how your journey began and what led you to start your own business.
Yeah, absolutely. Good Roots Barn was born during lockdown. We moved to Devon in the September and lockdown was in the March, and we had just started to build our garden. And during lockdown, obviously no garden centres were open, and I was really struggling online to find garden supplies that were plastic free. My husband and I have been living a plastic free lifestyle for many years now, so we really wanted to continue that journey into the garden. And my background being in horticulture had led me to be even more passionate about plastic free because of the plastic waste within the industry. The industry is really dominated by plastic, and it tends to be used on a very single-use basis. Certainly the nurseries that I've had experiences with, they simply don't have the time or the funds to reuse the plastic that comes through the nursery. There's lots of rules with regards to plant health, the pathogens and such like, with regards to reusing plastic pots and things. And there just isn't the recycling industry infrastructure here in the country to successfully try to battle that in a recycling format. So during lockdown, it was really tricky for me, and I spent many hours trying to find what I needed. Usually for our household items, we have a plethora of different websites to choose from with regards to our plastic-free shampoos, conditioners, everything from your bathroom requirements to your toiletries, your cleaning products are all plastic-free for us. And I struggled. I must have spent about 2 hours, I think, trying to look for plastic-free bird food initially. And I was getting so frustrated, and I said to my husband, I feel like there needs to be a place, a site that we can go to, similar to what we do for our toiletries and cleaning supplies, that we can buy all of our gardening needs, whether it's bird food, hedgehog food, whatever you want to attract into the garden, your pots, your growing medium, everything, on one site, in one place. And he quite rightly pointed out that I wasn't doing anything, so it might be quite a good idea for me to do that myself. And I began researching initially just to find products for myself. Spent a couple of months doing that whilst my husband was busy doing research into building the website. And then when we took all of our savings and we ploughed it into starting up the business, and it sort of grew from there, really. I tend to focus on products that are that I would use as a gardener. And that's really been my journey so far.
Yeah, driving force. That's great.
Yeah.
So just let's peel back some of the layers here then.
Yeah.
So you've now decided to take action. I guess the next thing is deciding, well, what do you want to sell? What is your range going to be, perhaps to start off with, and how is that going to develop? So how's that looked? How did you start, and where are you going to, do you think, with your range?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I started doing the research, again, there are so many alternatives out there. It was quite a surprise to me. And it was a case of narrowing down the very, I call them the 5 basics of what you need in order to grow. And that's where we started. We started looking at those 5 areas, and you start with your growing medium. I knew that there are peat-free options available in garden centres, but they all come in big plastic bags, which, yes, you can absolutely reuse, but quite often the scale that you're purchasing those on, that's a lot of plastic that you can't get rid of, and reusing them, you know, I've come up with a rather nifty technique with reusing plastic bags, because I tend to hoik them out of bins if I see them. And I turn them inside out, I puncture holes in the bottom, and then I put a lovely Hessian sack over the top, and I grow all of our potatoes and things in those. So it is possible to sort of upcycle, I suppose that is, your plastic bags. But certainly we couldn't distribute that. I had to be very sensible about the weight and the costs involved, obviously considering carbon footprint as well in terms of the delivery. And so I started looking at coir. So the good thing about coir is that it's a byproduct of the coconut industry. So it's made from the outer husk of the coconuts. So when they strip the coconuts back, the coir, and what they do is they compress it down into manageable sized, where you can get them in all sorts of sizes, discs, cubes, bricks, and they hydrate them. They're great then because they become very light and very easy to distribute. And when they arrive with the customer adds water, and it becomes this really gorgeous growing medium to work with. It doesn't have any additional nutrients, although there are a company that adds nutrients to their coir bricks, which is very, very clever. But they're perfect for sowing seeds. So starting your seeds off in coir is fantastic, and they're easy to ship, as I said, which is a good thing. And it's a byproduct of an industry that would have otherwise it would have just been a waste product, really. So it's being put to good use. So that was the first thing, the growing medium. Obviously seeds. Now I encourage on our social media and various other platforms to you can get your seed anywhere, really. I mean, people, certainly I'm one of the people that are desperate to get pepper seeds from your store-bought pepper. Tomatoes you can do, pretty much anything you can buy, squashes and things. You can pretty much get them to germinate at home too. So you don't necessarily need to buy seed, but I have found some fantastic plastic-free, one in particular seed tube that I work with. They're just really great. They've taken away, and people think, oh well, surely there's no plastic involved in the seeds, but actually they're either in little foil packets that you can't recycle, or they're in a little plastic packet, or sometimes even a big plastic packet. So yeah, I'm very, very, you have to look at the finer details with those sorts of things as well. And also with the seeds, you have to be careful that they're not being pre-treated or pre-coated as well. That's the key thing. So that's a bigger issue to go into, but yeah, that's an important thing to remember with, certainly when I was doing the research anyway. The other thing was obviously the receptacles, so your pots and things. We actually sell quite a lot of different ones now, but originally we started off doing very small seedling pots, then went up to bamboo 4 centimetre pots, And now we sell wood fibre trays and coir trays, bamboo trays. And the bamboo products look very plastic, but they are compostable. And that's the other thing, is that it would have been terribly easy to stock recycled plastic pots. But given that I'm not a huge fan of recycling anyway, I just don't think we just simply don't have the infrastructure, and it just doesn't work. It clearly doesn't work. So I tend to focus on products that are completely void of any virgin plastic, any recycled plastic. And Hacksnicks, who are the company that developed the bamboo and rice, there are other so there are pots that are made from plant-based material too, which is really just waste that has now been very cleverly put together and come up with this fantastic material that they can mold into pots and trays and saucers, and so they were really a great innovative company to join hands with and work with. So yeah, pots, trays, seeds, coir mix. We also, I call it belt and braces on the website, which is pretty much the things that I rely on in terms of recording what you're growing. I'm very keen to, because I think that's how you learn very much from the things that work, the things that don't work for you. So things like journals are really important. Even the sort of supplies that you use in terms of there are some pens that you can that are available. They're made from, again, paper waste, and yeah, that's a good alternative to your normal plastic biro markers. Labels was another thing. I was very good with the labels. I was very strict in terms of what to stock. We have rather common wooden labels, but these ones are a little bit special in as much as they look like a lollipop stick, but they are slightly wider. So if you have big, fat, chunky writing like mine, or you can't see very well, so you need big, fat, chunky writing, you can fit the plant name on those quite nicely. And I then also came across a really fantastic a lady who specialises in ceramics, and she very kindly designed and handmade some ceramic plant markers for us, which are really beautiful, all hand cut, unique to us. And yeah, it was just a case of, as I said, there was a lot to choose from. And we are very lucky that we are able to add a new product line to our range month on month. And there's no shortages of alternatives out there. Some of them really new, like the bamboo pots that I mentioned. Some of them that have been around for a long time, like soil blockers or the paper pot press. They are old techniques, which I'm just sort of trying to invigorate and get people using, really. But yeah, just to focus on the basics was my first thought in terms of what did I want to stock.
Okay, so obviously some clear logic into your selection then makes a lot of sense. So you've already found it very difficult to source the products you're looking for. So you're able to source the suppliers to give you the products that you need. So how did you go about finding those suppliers and engaging with them in the first place? You've got some very specific needs and specifications here. So what was your approach to finding these suppliers? Is it just an internet search, or do you have to do lots of legwork? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there is a lot of legwork involved, a lot of research, because once you find what you're looking for, and I was very keen to not just use big organizations, not to use just to align ourselves with large industry. I wanted to also highlight small, innovative businesses and designers and bring them to the forefront. Also, we work with really older companies that are family-run businesses that have been established for well over 40 years. So it's a real mix. I would say that the key thing for me was to, first of all, find what it was that I was looking for, and approach the company and explain to them what I was trying to achieve. Because quite often, and obviously explain that we're a startup, we're a relatively small business, we're self-funded, because quite often that's a key issue when negotiating prices and such like. They really have to be on board with the message that we're trying to give first. Because, as I say, being a small business, funds are not readily available. We do have to structure all of our product releases very carefully because of cash flow. And quite often we're ordering small quantities, sort of 100 or so products at a time, sometimes smaller. So you don't always get the best prices in terms of the quantities, but because of the quality of the goods that we are stocking, it works out really well for us. We're happy with the quality that we're getting for the price that we're getting it. Our margins are very minimal, and that's twofold, really. Mainly because these things are disposable, if you like. For example, the coir pots, trays, and the wood fibre, they're not going to last you season after season. They're a one-use item. Same with the seeds. Once you've sown them, so people are coming back to you time and time again. So I wanted to make it, the second point was making it available to everybody.
Yeah.
So when we first started out on our plastic-free journey, it was very expensive. So, and it does put people off. It's far easier to buy your plastic bottle of shampoo for, I don't know, £3 rather than buying a bar of shampoo for £4.50. It's the cost difference is dramatic still. Yeah. But it's a case of putting those alternatives out there and getting people hooked on them. And really, consumers, I believe, drive change. I'm a strong believer in, if you stop buying it, they'll stop making it. So I rely highly on that. So our margins are pretty slim due to the fact that I want to make it very accessible to everybody. And once companies realize what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve, they're very receptive. And the feedback that I got was, well, what a fantastic idea. We've never been approached this way. And it was really good feedback. There were some that recently I've approached. We started working with a fantastic company called Parks and Rec for outdoor chimeneas and things like that. And that went so well that I approached another lady who I had researched, and I think I'd found her on LinkedIn, actually. She connected with me on LinkedIn, and she designs her own arches, garden arches.
Okay, yeah.
And we talked a little about the opportunity for us to be able to stock these accessories on the site. And they're beautiful, they're all handmade and such. But when we got down to the packaging side of things, she was not willing to change her packaging techniques. So she used styrofoam and bubble wrap and things like that to protect the items, obviously. And even though I presented other alternatives that she could use because they were more expensive, she didn't want to do that. So those sorts of things do happen from time to time. And we just I mean, I don't know, perhaps I'm just stubborn, but I'm not prepared to compromise. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I mean, I could stock things, and you know, take the plastic and reuse it myself. But I just, the whole point of it is to be rid of this product. So yeah, and you know, there are alternatives for those sorts of packaging needs out there. But again, it is a cost situation. So you know, sometimes people are receptible to it, sometimes they're not. Some of them are actually already doing it anyway, which is fabulous. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. So is part of the message then that perhaps when you're relating your story to perhaps a smaller supplier, they empathize with your needs a little bit more than the big boys, so to speak, and so they'll work with you a little bit more readily, even though you're just starting up and you're not a huge potential customer and such. So that's one aspect of it. So really, obviously, choose your supplier, check them out properly, but engage with them on that personal kind of level. And then obviously stick by your principles. Basically, you know, you're setting your stall out to be obviously environmentally friendly and ethical, and that's what people, you know, love your products for. So there's no point in compromising on those ethics just to save, you know, perhaps small amounts of money. You know, you're there to sell the right sort of product to the people who want that product.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. And you know, most companies, I would say, have been very receptive to our ethos and our ideas. And you know, it isn't the norm yet for large companies to be packaging plastic free. You know, some of them still use sellotape, and it's those tiny little things that you need to be very upfront about from the beginning. And you know, they're avoidable, so it's possible. But you just have to work together and just be honest straight away up front what you're trying to achieve and the message you're trying to portray.
Okay, that's really interesting. Just thinking now about, obviously you've now established your supply base and obviously it's developing. Because they're the smaller companies, did they really want to get into signing contracts and going through legalities, or were they pretty relaxed and just say, look, you just drop an order for X and Y and we'll supply it? You know, how did that pan out?
Yeah, no, we haven't signed any contracts, and we don't operate on a credit basis either. We very much try to manage our cash flow. That was a key thing, and all the profit that we make from sales goes straight back into development of new products for the business. We haven't really been in a situation where, I mean, that may change moving forward in terms of contracts and credit facilities. But again, that's just a supply and demand area. At the moment, we're managing very well. And we have had a couple of contracts and credit offers suggested to us, but we personally just feel that we're not really in a position to do that right now. We don't feel like it's a necessity at this point.
Were those contracts there to encourage you to buy more product, or just to secure pricing and secure volumes or anything like that? What's the principles behind those contracts then?
Yeah, so they were very much credit account related. So ultimately, and really it's only come from one from the large manufacturer that we currently use for our bamboo, Hacksnicks, and the other one we didn't pursue with purchasing their product. So that was very much to secure a credit account in order to, especially with those types of organizations, the higher the volume, the bigger your discount. And we engaged with a company for coir products recently, and they were talking of a scale of, you know, a shipping container type of
Okay.
scenario, and we're just not at that scale yet. We don't. Our stock wouldn't fill a shipping container at this point. So those sorts of scenarios do crop up from time to time. And we'd love to take the opportunity to take advantage of those. Obviously, the margins would be better for us, but it's sort of getting away from the point that we want to make. It isn't about necessarily for us at this point making a profit or having a huge profit margin. It's really about educating people that there are alternatives out there. And hopefully we will be at a stage at some point in the future to negotiate better rates. But I think because the majority of our suppliers are small business owners themselves, we're very conscious that there has to be an equal amount of profit involved in the product themselves. So brilliant. And some of them are unique to us, some of them are not, but that's the only thing I would say, is that especially with the smaller businesses, it's quite good to get an agreement in place that we are the only supplier of that product to customers. And we've achieved that twice, and I think that's not too shabby for a startup.
No, that's very Dragon's Den. Well done.
Exclusivity to a plant marker.
Fantastic. Okay, so you've established your products, your range, you've got your suppliers, fantastic. And now you've got your husband to step in and work on the website.
Yes.
How was that little journey? Was it straightforward, or have you found that quite stressful?
That whole aspect of the whole thing is pretty daunting. I mean, I wasn't on social media until I started the business. And now we're on all the platforms, so we're literally everywhere. So it's been quite a learning curve, that's for sure. Lots of webinars, lots of research into the best way. I mean, we don't have a marketing budget, so we purely use social media for our marketing base. So it is. And there are so many things to think about in terms of the algorithms and how best to sell your product, which I'm not particularly good at. I'm a retail-based website, but I'm terrible at selling stuff. If you just talk to me about the pots that we use, I can rabbit on about how brilliant they are forever. But actually doing a hard sale is really difficult for me. I mean, he did a fantastic job really doing the back office. I just sort of came along. I knew what I wanted the brand to look like. So quite often I would come along and sort of ask him to change things or do different things. So it was more of a case of, he pretty much runs the back office side of the business, and I just make sure it looks pretty.
The artistic flair and direction comes from yourself.
Well, yeah, and and it's important as well that because sometimes he would write product descriptions and things, but it's important that gardeners are reading them. So it's important that you're talking as if you are talking to the gardener in terms of the product descriptions. You can't just and it's really funny because the some of the product descriptions that you look at online of things, that I don't know, maybe they're on like Big Bad Amazon or something. They're on there, and you think, that's a little bit bland. Like, would I grow my beans up there? Give me a suggestion? What are you suggesting that I use this for? So so I'm pretty particular in terms of the language that we use as well, and I also want it to sound like me.
Personalize it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think because we are such a small, new business, it's important that you create those connections with customers, and we have a good customer base that are repeat customers too. So I think that's important, that whatever as I said recently, we've teamed up with Parks and Recreation And I've tweaked their product descriptions because, I need the customers to know that it's me and that I am 100% behind these products. We're not just sticking them on the website for
just to retail. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. They've been tried and tested, and we're 100% behind. So yeah, brilliant. Absolutely.
Okay, so now website setup, back office setup, payments and all that organized. Brilliant. That's really good.
Yeah.
So now you're ready to go, but you need to get your stock in place and set up, I guess, a pick, pack and ship operation. So we're getting quite industrial now. How have you organized yourself in that way?
I actually found that really quite interesting. Maybe I should have just gone into factory packing. I don't know, but I really like that aspect of the business. I mean, I love getting orders, but I love getting orders because it means that I can go off and pack the order, and I do that myself too. Because again, it's that sort of thing that I really want the customers to get that personal connection with me.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of the packaging. Again, we're sort of limited because we're so small we've looked into various distributors that are carbon or offset their carbon footprint, but we really struggle because we don't have the numbers yet.
Yeah.
So that's been a bit frustrating. But we're happy with our delivery service that we use at the moment, and we'll continue to work with them until we can find an alternative. Again, it's that scenario that I always sort of lean on, is that you do what you can until you know better, and then you do better.
Yes.
And that's sort of our situation with that at the moment. But certainly our packaging material, that was great fun to try and source. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was good. We use, obviously we're plastic free. We use, and I don't really tend to enjoy the alternatives, sort of like the potato starch packaging that you can get. It looks like polystyrene, but it's not.
Okay.
I tend to be a bit more old school. So scrunched up thick brown paper, or I've even started shredding old cardboard that we use that for packaging material. I enjoyed that. Everything that we use is made from 100% recycled card. And we've also recently started using plantable paper for our thank you notes and things. Our labels that we use for the address labels are, again, 100% made from recycled paper, and they are also compostable, even with this kind of sticky glue, which isn't quite there yet. The sticky glue it's great, but it's not as sticky as I'd like.
Some limitations then, yeah.
Yeah. So there's room for improvements there, but it's compostable, so it's that ticks the box for me. So yeah, that aspect has been quite fun. But again, you do have to think about these things. You can't, because of our ethos, we had to be sure that we were covering every angle, right down to the packaging material, and especially the carbon offset too. We've started a scheme where we are working with One Tree Planted, and because there's a lot of carbon to these products. Some of them aren't made in the UK, so they already have a carbon footprint by the time they get to the distributor. Then the supplier will send them to us. That adds another carbon footprint onto the trail, and then we're delivering them out to the customer. At the moment, because of our size, we're covering the delivery to the customer, but I'm working under the assumption that other half of the carbon footprint is being taken care of by the supplier. I suspect it's not, because that's not in the forefront of everybody's mind at the moment. But that's definitely something within our business plan that we will look to rectify, and we will make sure that every item that crosses our path and goes through our warehouse, we will cover its carbon footprint.
Yeah.
But that's only for the products that are not made or not the industry that isn't made here. But we work with lots of smaller companies that the products are made here, so that's really useful.
Yeah. So I guess your next challenge could well be when things start to scale, because you won't be able to pack every box yourself anymore and know what you're going to do.
No,
then.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I think the max I've done is sort of it must be something like 30 or so in a week. So
Right.
yeah, when it goes beyond that, it's going to be pretty exciting. But it's really funny, because whenever I introduce something new, my husband will say, no, be careful, because when there's a product line of people packing these, you can't be so specific about how you want everything to look, and there's going to be a lot of things to remember when we start scaling up. So
exactly, optimizing your packaging and
exactly
things that tessellate and things like that, I guess.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Fantastic. So you touched on just now about social media, from a newbie to perhaps semi-expert now, do you say?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay,
absolutely not.
So
It's really funny.
there?
Well,
We could try.
Just this morning, somebody DM'd me and asking for advice on social media, like how to grow their profile. And I was thinking, I don't know why they would reach out
well,
to
you
me.
must be doing something right.
Yeah, clearly. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to send them over some. I mean, again, they're a small business also, and I'm going to send them over some information that I found really helpful. But like everything else, I had to work hard and research, and very much it's quite surprising, because there's so much information out there in terms of the apps that you're using. Each individual app will have its data, its analytics that will give feedback to you. Those I find fascinating. I enjoy that aspect of looking to see what worked, what didn't work. But equally, it can be really frustrating, because you work hard on something and then it just doesn't hit. It just doesn't get any sort of engagement at all. And I mentioned the algorithms earlier. You do have to be careful of those, because they're changing all the time as well. And it's just a case of, like all the other aspects, is learning about it, researching it, finding out what works best for your business, but equally not compromising the message that you're sending out there. That was the other thing. I think I got lots of advice with regards to social media when we first started out, and I needed it too, but some of it wasn't relevant to us. So you do have to weed out the good advice. For example, I was told, you're trying to sell things, but you don't really put your products out there. You only post 2 or 3 products a week. And actually, when you sit on these webinars and things like that, they sort of say that that's perfectly acceptable, and encourage you not to bombard, almost spamming your audience with all of these fabulous products that you obviously very passionate about and you love, and you want to tell the whole world about them. But you've also got to have a message too. And quite often I'd get told, oh, you're posting about plastic pollution, like why aren't you posting about gardening or but obviously it is the plastic, but that's our background. The plastic pollution is what led us to
to this, and journey, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's still a huge issue, so it's something that I'm going to keep revisiting. And sometimes it'll get a good response. The most recent one we did was for World Water Day, which is definitely relatable in terms of the garden as well. And harvesting rainwater is so important for gardeners. And just focusing every now and then on what we're about, what we're trying to say. And the business never started, certainly from the very beginning, it was never about just selling things. We always had a message behind everything we were trying to do. So yeah, it's still a learning curve, social media, I have to say, but sometimes I enjoy it, and other times I think, gosh, I wish I didn't have to post anything. I just wish people would go to the website and I could just focus on that one area. But yeah, no, sometimes it's fun. It's fun when you connect with someone. Absolutely. And they say how great your suggestion was, or that they've tried it and it worked, or if customers post that they're using our products, that I love. That's really rewarding.
That's really good marketing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love seeing that. It's so exciting.
Brilliant. And so what we're talking about now is added value, and this is what's coming through strongly, obviously, in this conversation. It's not just about retailing a product and making a profit. And you on your website have various, I think, blogs. You've got a VIP membership, and you've got a subscription offering. Do you want to talk us just through what are those added value things that are available?
Yeah. So again, this is something that we had quite a negative response to in the beginning as well, is that, why have you got all this stuff on your website? Going back to making it accessible to people, during lockdown, I think the average number of people taking up gardening had increased by 40%. That's pretty huge. And these are all new first-time gardeners that have decided that they really want to utilize their space now. And so there's a lot of people out there that hadn't gardened before. So, putting out, we have top tips, which is what we started with. That's been from the beginning. Just giving little upcycling tips, which I like to do in my garden. I did actually get asked about the photographs and things that we use. Everything we post and everything that we use on the website is all our material. It's not from a stock pile of pictures that you can download. They're all ours. And so some of the crazy top tip pictures that you see are what I'm doing in my garden and how I'm upcycling and trying to make things pretty, similar to the potato sacks we talked about earlier. And then, we introduced the blog, mainly because I needed to get certain messages out there, which they're topics that I really want people to think carefully about, both gardening and certainly from an environmental point of view. It's important to me that it isn't just about growing plants, it's about the environment that you're creating and the ecosystem that you're encouraging in your garden. So the blog is really fun to write. I do enjoy doing that. I've even been asked to guest blog on other people's platforms. So that's been quite good fun to do. And I do think there's power behind words, and it's really my outlet to let everybody know how much I love gardening, really, and being outdoors, and I really love what I do. And then we have elements like the bookshelf, which it's not sponsored in any way, sadly. Love free books, but there you go. But the bookshelf is great. That just helps me share the books that I'm reading, and hopefully people can go on there, see some new material. And one of the things, my brother actually, he was like, great book suggestion this month. I've ordered it. And then he sent me a snapshot of ordering from Amazon. I was like,
oh dear,
oh my goodness. So he got a firm telling off for that. I was like, what about your local bookshop? You should order from them. So yes, he completely missed the message. I mean, got half of it, but not the other half. So that was quite funny.
Some stern words there then.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the you mentioned the subscription, the VIP head gardener subscription. That was really my husband's brainchild. He was very keen to have a following and encourage people to check in on the website and we have certain subscriptions too, where we get VIP access and early access to things, and it's really fun to do. And I've probably priced myself out of the market with it too, but again, on the basis that I want to make it accessible. It's £5 a month, and we've got a whole bunch of free access to information before anyone else, early knowledge of new product launches. We also do a quarterly giveaway, so you can get free products. I love getting free stuff, so that was at the forefront of it. And I was thinking, again, it's just a great way to get people hooked on these products. And a couple of people now have started using the Koya growing medium, friends of mine that have said it's so wonderful. It's a wonderful feel. It's really aerated. It's, the plants germinate really quickly and really well in it. It's getting that sort of hook into people. And, once you try something and you love it, you don't really ever look back. So, so that's going really well. But I think the subscription thing was a really great idea. Sadly, not one of mine, but
next time
I've got to share some of the spotlight with my husband.
Brilliant. Okay, let's give you a little thought now, or let's have a think about 5 years, 10 years. What's your vision for that sort of time period?
Well, I actually practice Envision. So I do visualization practices as part of my meditation. And I have a very clear picture of where I want the business to be. And the biggest goal for me is to change a little bit of how the industry use plastic. There are nurseries out there already making big strides and doing fantastic things, and it can be done. It's just not particularly profitable, sadly. So it's really working. I mean, I'd love to work with the HTA and just get them on board with helping to highlight how important it is for there to be alternatives on the market. I've attended many of their forums and shows every year when we were allowed, and it's funny because there's one side think that the HTA are quite prominent and resourceful in terms of making changes within the industry. There's another side that think they're there just to service the retail industry, which is somewhat true, because that's how they were created, and that's their purpose. They want to keep horticulture trading. That's the key thing. But I think I'm very hopeful. Let's put it that way. I'm very hopeful that those sorts of organisations getting behind them will make real differences. And I'm not talking about recycled pots or, changing the colour of a pot, because clearly that isn't working. So I'm talking about proper alternatives. Like let's highlight and invite a lot of these companies that are really making headway at offering alternatives to the horticulture industry, and the Trading Association is the best place for that. That would be my 5 to 10 year goal for sure. That's top of my list, really. Really all I want to do, and all I ever wanted to do, was at the beginning of this journey, is to encourage people to garden. That has to be the main goal. The more people I can get gardening and getting joy in gardening, it's so beneficial. It's physically beneficial, it's mentally beneficial. We need to grow our own produce, and it's a really frugal activity. Like I've done a post recently. Again, I ought to be on a leash sometimes, because I really I really put myself out of business. I really could. But I did a post recently about you don't need anything to garden. Like you literally, it shouldn't be about buying stuff.
Yeah.
It should be about enjoying the process. And you can garden with nothing. You can garden with everything that you need to garden, you already have right now. It's just, it takes a little bit of imagination sometimes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling of, the daunted feeling of, is it going to work? Well, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. It hasn't cost you anything. So
Sure.
Yeah, it's encouraging more people to get gardening and enjoying the gardening process. That's what I want to continue to do.
Brilliant. Okay, I'll ask you one more question before I let you go and grab a cup of tea. Some words of wisdom for those people who haven't started their own business yet. What sort of things would you say to them? How would you encourage people to take the leap?
I would have to say research is super important. You have to spend so much time researching, and if it's something that you love, like for me, it was very easy to sit on the internet and look for products that I wanted to garden with, but you have to be super passionate about it, because there are lots of elements of running your own business that are not as enjoyable, for sure, like the back office, finances, all of that stuff. It's hard work, and it takes time. It takes a really long time to get established and find your audience. It's a journey, for sure. But as long as you do the research and you're passionate about it, give it a go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, passion's a big motivator. Like if you're passionate about something, you'll make it happen. Envision your future and how you want things to look, and stick by your ethos. So from the very beginning, I haven't compromised. I've stuck with what I wanted the brand to be and what I wanted us to stand for. And I think that's super important.
Brilliant. Lovely wise words there. Well, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Sandy. It's been really a fascinating story and extremely inspiring. I'm sure you're going to encourage a few budding entrepreneurs to perhaps realise their dreams as well too.
Oh, thank you.
I think so. So if people wanted to get in contact with you, buy your products, engage with you on social media, as you're now an expert in this area, where should people seek you?
Yeah. The website is www.goodrootsbarn.co.uk. And there's a contact on there's a chat option, and you can contact us. And it isn't just about, if you have any questions about the products, by all means, drop me a comment. I'm always available. I'm happy to come back to you and talk gardening. No pressure to purchase anything. If you just want to have a gardening question, or a question about, I don't know, one of the books that we've got, or whatever it might be, just drop a line. In terms of social media, we are pretty much everywhere. It's hard to miss us. So on Instagram, I think all of our handles are Good Roots Barn.
Yeah.
So it's at Good Roots Barn. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I think we've got a Pinterest board if you want to check out Pinterest.
Fantastic.
I'm a bit of a Pinterest addict, so I had to set up a Pinterest board. Anyone can contact us at any time on there. It's absolutely.
Have you got a TikTok yet where you do some gardening and videoing?
No.
That could be the next big thing, you know?
No, absolutely not. No, I'm not adding any more. If anything, I shall be deducting platforms. No, I only just started doing videos on Instagram, and oh man, it's such hard work. It's really like every 5 minutes I'm having to pause, and I just want it all to be in one shot, but they're only like a minute long. So you have to, oh no, it's hard work. It's hard, especially when you're sowing seed or you're trying to demonstrate something. You're like having to pause halfway. You're like, oh. Yeah, it's tricky.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, I wish you all the best. It is fantastic what you're doing. And it's brilliant. Been talking to you. I'll have to stop by Devon before long and see how you're getting on.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay then. Well, thanks you very much for your insights and inspiration. True pleasure talking to you, and hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please subscribe and leave a positive review if you can spare a minute or two. If you would like to contact me, my email address is david@thereallifebuyer.co.uk, or find me at Real Life Buyer on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, where you're welcome to direct message me. I look forward to you joining me on future episodes. Take care, and remember, save money and buy smart.